This section includes two required pieces of information. The first is that policy statement that's the same on every single institutional course guide and syllabus. The second is a section-specific federal definition of a credit hour statement. I'm going to try to explain how to craft this statement as succinctly as I possibly can. If this doesn't cut it for you, please reach out to your associate dean or program director and they can help you out. So there are essentially 4 different template statements based on whether the class is face-to-face, hybrid, live remote, or online. You can choose which template statement applies, and then you have to input all of the information I have highlighted here in yellow. So let's look at an example about how to do this. 3 out of those 4 template statements have 3 sentences. The last one only has the first and the last sentence. I want to show you what this would look like in a 16-week, 3-credit hour face-to-face class. In the first sentence, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different unique elements you need to put in. The type of class, the length of term, in this case, 16 weeks, the number of course credit hours, in this case, 3 credit hours, and the total number of hours that are expected to be spent on academically related activities. This, by the federal definition, is your number of credit hours, in this case 3, times 37.5 hours. So for this class, that would be 112 and a half hours. You're going to repeat at the end of that sentence the number of weeks, in this case, the 16 weeks. So the first sentence here is, since this class is a face-to-face 16-week, 3-credit hour class, the expectation is that 112 and a half hours will be spent on academically related activities over the 16-week period. That second sentence only applies to classes that have scheduled class meetings every week, or in the case of a hybrid class, perhaps every other week. This has 4 different pieces of information that are going to be unique based on your particular section. The type of class meeting, is it a face-to-face or a live online meeting? The total number of meeting hours, and this is going to be over the entire course. So the way you're going to calculate that is you're going to look at the number of scheduled hours in meetings each week. So in this case, we have 3 hours in the classroom. And we're going to take that times the number of weeks, in this case 16, and that equals 37 and a half hours over 16 weeks. You're going to include the number of weeks in that sentence, and then you have one more calculation at the end, which is the total number of outside of meeting hours. That's going to be calculated by taking those total number of hours we calculated in the first sentence, in this case 112 and a half hours, and subtracting the total meeting hours. In this case, that was 37 and a half. So for our example, we have 75 hours that the student is expected to spend outside the classroom working on this class. So in our example, our second sentence reads, the class meets face-to-face for 37 and a half hours over the 16 weeks, so it is expected that 75 hours be spent on outside of class activities. Now, all of those examples include the last sentence. The last sentence only has one calculated bit of information, and that is the average number of hours they should be spending outside of any kind of scheduled meetings each week. We're going to calculate that by taking the total number of outside meeting hours. So if it's one that has meetings, that's going to be that 75 hours that we calculated. If this is an online class, you're going to use just the total number of expected hours because there are no scheduled meetings. So we're going to take that total number of hours they're supposed to spend on this class outside the classroom and divide that by the number of weeks. So in our example here, we have 75 hours outside the classroom divided by 16 weeks. That gives us our 8 hours each week. So the final sentence in our example reads, this means you should spend about 5 hours each week reading the textbook, completing assignments, studying for exams, etc. So if you can't find the exact matching configuration for this statement over in that help text, this is one way you can calculate it for yourself. If you are struggling with that, please reach out to your program director, associate dean, another full-time faculty member, and they can help walk you through making the right calculation.